Chapter 1 Mother. Chapter 1 The month of May had been so hot and dry, Billy wondered if the whole town would shrivel up. The blistering day he came home from school with his problem. Sal was sitting in the shade on the front porch holding a bag of frozen blueberries against her skin to keep cool. Billy could tell that she'd also been eating the blueberries because her fingers and face were stained purple. "Papa's inside," said Sal, "by the conditioning." "Air conditioning?" Billy corrected. "There's no air conditioning at school, and being in room 2 was like spending time in an oven." Billy's clothes had been sticking to his chair all afternoon, making it hard to concentrate on anything but his own discomfort. Miss Silver kept the windows and door open, and she had a big fan running continuously, but it didn't help much. "The Drop sisters are inside too," said Sal. She pressed her sweaty bag to her cheek and then her leg. "Papa put the girls away until I'm done with blueberries, so I don't get them dirty." Billy stepped past Sal and opened the front door. The cool air was a great relief. "Hi, Dad," he called as he dropped onto the couch and lay down. "Ah," he murmured. He felt so comfortable he forgot about his problem until Papa entered the room and asked, "How was your day?" Billy sat up. "I have a little problem." "I'm glad it's little," said Papa. "What is it?" Billy didn't know where to start. He realized that often the beginning of a problem goes back and back further, to something that doesn't seem like a problem at all. He could feel Papa watching him, waiting. "Well," said Papa, "well, this year Miss Silver wants to do a show for the end of the year, but not a play like the Three Billy Goats Gruff or The Emperor's New Clothes, because she's done that before." Papa nodded. "She wants to do something original with poetry." Billy didn't particularly like poetry except funny poetry. But that wasn't the problem. Everyone has to write a poem about someone in their family. Miss Silver said the show would be called Family or Room 2 Families or something like that. Sounds nice. The poem can be about a parent or a brother or a sister or a grandma or an uncle or someone who helps your family, like a good friend. Because all families are different. Billy took a breath. "Then, when we have the show, we have to say our poem on the stage with a microphone, and you can memorize it if you want to." "Is that the problem?" asked Papa. "Memorizing?" "No," said Billy. "The problem is that we're supposed to write about one person, and that one person can be with us on the stage, but only one. So I have to choose." "Ah," said Papa, "I get it. I have to pick you, Mom or Sal." Papa pursed his lips. He glanced at the window at Sal. Then he turned his head back to Billy. "I don't think having Sal up on the stage with a microphone would probably be a good idea," said Papa. "She might do something unexpected." Papa blinked. "I think you should limit your choice to Mama or me." "Is that okay?" asked Billy. It seemed that excluding Sal was like lying somehow. And it felt strange to have Papa suggest it. "Yes," said Papa, "I think it's okay." Billy's problem was smaller now, but he still had a problem. He still had to choose between Mama and Papa. He didn't want either one to feel bad. Papa seemed to have a window into Billy's thoughts. "If you pick Mama, that's fine with me, and if you pick me, it'll be fine with Mama. Remember that." "Remember what?" asked Sal, who just popped up behind Papa like a whack-a-mole at the country fair. Papa turned. "Remember not to touch anything until you wash your blueberry hands, and don't you dare kiss me with those blueberry lips." He snatched up Sal and hauled her off to the kitchen, her giggles trailing behind them. Billy sat alone, considering the choice he had to make. He sucked the web of skin between his thumb and pointer finger, his hand falling across his chin like a beard. Mama was so hot that she came home from work that all she wanted was to take a cool shower. Then she made lemonade with Sal. By the time Mama called him for dinner, Billy hadn't found the right moment to tell her about the show, except that there was going to be one. But he had made the decision. He decided that he would choose her, Mama. She would be the one he would write a poem about. She would be the one he would share the stage with. It would be easier to write a poem about a boy, Papa, but Billy thought the whole thing would make Mama happier. She even taught poetry. Also, Papa volunteered at Billy's school sometimes and went on field trips. And Mama never could because she was teaching. This would be a way to make up for that. Billy still felt uncomfortable about choosing one over the other, so he'd come up with a plan so that Papa wouldn't know he'd made a deliberate choice. His plan was to have Mama and Papa each pick a number from 1 to 10. Instead of having a particular number in mind and writing it down, he'd wait for Mama and Papa to say their numbers, and then, no matter what number Mama chose, he would declare it the winner. It wouldn't be fair, but that way Papa wouldn't have his feelings hurt. It was sort of the same thing as excluding Sal from the show without her knowing it, and Papa had said that it was okay. During dinner, Mama asked questions after question about the show. Billy explained everything, including how either she or Papa would be on stage with him. "It sounds wonderful," Mama said, "although I'd love a play with cute animals. You'd be adorable with whiskers, little furry ears, and a pink nose." Billy scrunched up his face. "No way." "Can I go?" asked Sal. "Of course," said Papa. "There'll be refreshments too," Billy told them. Then Billy said to Mama and Papa, "Now, Mom, Dad, pick a number from 1 to 10. The person who's closest wins. I'll write a poem about you." "5," said Mama, without hesitating. "6," said Papa. 5 was the exact number, said Billy, trying to be as natural as possible, trying to convince himself that 5 would have been the number he would have selected. His ears were burning and he worried that they were turning red. His cheeks, too. He formed a fish mouth and looked around the room because he couldn't make direct eye contact with anyone. "Hooray for me," said Mama. She blew Billy a kiss across the table. Papa smiled as if he'd won. "Hooray for Mama," said Sal. She threw out her arms cheerfully and accidentally knocked her plate to the floor. Nothing broke, but applesauce, buttered noodles, and steamed carrots were everywhere. And so much to Billy's relief, everyone's attention shifted to the mess and cleaning up. Billy sighed. He realized that as soon as one problem was solved, something else was right there, waiting to take up your time. He had solved the problem of who to choose, but now, of course, he had a poem to write. Chapter 2. Because of the upcoming show, Mrs. Silver was spending a lot of time on poetry. She read several poems a day, all different kinds, no matter how hot it was. She turned off the big fan, and she read so that everyone could hear. Billy knew he liked funny poems about underwear or pranks or food fights. He discovered that he also liked poems about aliens and volcanoes. He liked some of the animal poems Miss Silver read, especially one that was about bat. Billy thought that a funny bat poem that included a food fight and a volcano would be the best poem ever. Miss Silver gave everyone in the room, too, a new notebook. "These are your poetry journals," she told them. "We'll use them to write our poems for a show. Then we can keep them to use over the summer, for writing or drawing or whatever you want. But I hope you'll continue to think about poetry even when the school is done for the year." Writing a poem about Mama would not be easy to do. Miss Silver said that the poems could be funny, but that they had to be appropriate. She said to think of poems as a nice way to honor a special person. Billy wanted to make sure that whatever he wrote pleased Mama. But he also wanted to make sure that whatever he wrote wouldn't embarrass him when he read it in front of a room full of people, including adults and his classmates. Billy liked the rhythm of rhyming, of limericks, but he thought it would be easier to write a haiku about Mama, or an acrostic, or he could write that Miss Silver called free verse, which seemed to Billy to be an ordinary writing just broken up into lines that were shorter than normal. Billy did want to keep the poem short in case he tried to memorize it. Short was also good because that would mean fewer words he might not be able to spell. Miss Silver's plan was that the students would work on their poems for a little while each day during writing time. Miss Silver would walk around the room checking poems and helping with spelling. If she thought the poem was ready for the show, she'd draw a smiley face on the top of the corner of the page. She hoped that the middle of next week, everyone would have a poem all set to go. "Remember that all good writers are rewriters," Miss Silver said. "Fine writing takes good, hard work." Billy had trouble getting started. He opened his poetry journal to the first page and wrote, "My Mom." He couldn't think of anything else to write, so he drew a series of volcanoes in progressive stages of exploding. There was still enough space in the margin on the left-hand side of the paper to write the word Mom vertically, so Billy decided that he would try an acrostic. In a burst of inspiration, he wrote, "My only mother." Poetry's not too bad, he thought. He could definitely memorize this poem. He returned to drawing volcanoes. Suddenly, Billy felt a shadow fall upon him, as if a cloud had appeared out of nowhere, blocking the sun. He looked up. It was Miss Silver. Today, her chopsticks were yellow. "I'm done," said Billy. "Already," said Miss Silver. "You're a fast worker." Billy nodded. "Who are you writing about?" Billy moved his hand so she could read what he'd written. Miss Silver smiled broadly. "Oh, good choice." "Can I write about my dog?" Ned interrupted. "Remember, no pets," replied Miss Silver. "Even if it has a human name?" asked Ned. "His name is Bob." Miss Silver tightened her lips and shook her head at Ned. Then she crouched down beside Billy so that they were at the same level. "Do I get a smiley face?" asked Billy. He could tell by her expression that he probably wouldn't. "Maybe you could tell me more about your mom. What does she like? What makes her special?" "Well," said Billy, "she is my only mom, so I thought that made it special." He fumbled with his pencil. "Grace has two moms, and some moms somewhere must be dead, so that person wouldn't have any mom." "That's true," said Miss Silver. She coiled a loose strand of hair around one of her chopsticks. "Would you try writing in haiku for me? See what you can come up with." She moved on to help Ned. Billy glanced at the posters on the bulletin board that showed the rules for writing different kinds of poems. He remembered that a haiku had 3 lines. The first and third lines had 5 syllables, and the middle line had 7. He turned into a new page in his notebook. He was still thinking about volcanoes, so he wrote, "Mom likes volcanoes. They are hot and they explode. Please do not fall in." He was counting on his fingers, making sure he'd use the correct number of syllables when Miss Silver came back. "May I take a peek?" she asked. Billy chewed on his thumbnail while Miss Silver read this poem. "Does your mom like volcanoes?" asked Miss Silver. "I know you like volcanoes." "Well," said Billy, "she might." He blinked rapidly. "I have an idea," said Miss Silver. "I think you should take your journal home tonight. You should ask your mom what she likes. You could make a list of things. The list could be your poem, or maybe there's something you and your mom could do together. You could write about that." "Okay," said Billy. His eyes shifted down to his volcano drawings. He wasn't fond of homework in general, but it seemed even worse now that he was so close to the end of school year. His mind was already focused on summer vacation. "You've done some fine writing today. We can work again tomorrow." "It really is work," thought Billy sadly. When the dismissal bell rang, Billy noticed that most of his class